It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another video for The Walking Dead Dead City. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the ending of the Season 1 finale. I'm going to be explaining the ending, and we're going to break down how this ending sets up Season 2 of the series. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break this down. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's dive right into it. So of course, the main thing that we really understood at the end of the Season 1 finale of Dead City is that although it seemed like the Croat was the big bad of the series, that's not the case, and the big bad of the series is really the Dama, who's the female leader that we met, who's really keeping the Croat in check. She's the one that runs things, and she's the one that chooses who leads and who doesn't. Of course, we know that the Dama asked for Negan personally because of what the Croat was telling her about Negan. And obviously, what we understand by the end of the season is that she wants Negan to lead the group of survivors that are in the island of New York, which consists of many small communities. And she wants Negan to control these group of people in the conflict against the New Babylon, who the marshals were sent by, who we saw the leader of as well in this episode. Now, the big question that everyone has, and the thing that confused some people, is what happened to Herschel and what was in the box. So obviously we know that Herschel was kept captive by the Croats people, but we didn't really know too much as far as what they did to him. We know that the Croat wanted to torture him at one point, but we didn't really see it happen. It kind of stopped before it started. So we didn't really know whether it took place or not, and we didn't know the extent to which they were torturing him. And obviously, based on what we saw in the Season 1 finale, we know that the Dama herself had a big impact on Herschel. And it wasn't that he was just the captive of the Croat himself. How we know this is simple. Maggie actually finds drawings, things that Herschel drew. One of the things that he drew is a picture of the Dama. Now, why would he draw her? It must mean that there was some level of connection between the two, and she might have got into Herschel's head in some way, shape, or form. Now, we don't know how much she was able to manipulate Herschel and get him to do things that he didn't necessarily want to do, but we know that it was enough of an impact for Herschel to draw her. And of course, going back to the question, what was in the box? Of course, the Dama gives Negan this key, which belongs to a box, which Negan opens and finds this. Now, I wasn't too sure what this was when I watched, but then watching it multiple times and paying attention, I found out that this is actually a cut off little toe, and it belongs to Herschel. So obviously we see here Herschel is missing a little toe. So that's obviously gruesome, and it shows how twisted the Dama is. In fact, it shows not only how twisted the Dama is, but also the Croat, because I'm sure the Croat was the one that did this under the orders of the Dama. Now, there's a few things that come to mind here. Obviously, the question is, how is this even possible? Why didn't Herschel tell anyone? And that's a great question. Why didn't Herschel tell Maggie he's missing a little toe? Well, that goes back to what I said earlier. It seems like the Dama was able to brainwash, maybe not fully, but to an extent, Herschel in a way where he is not going to tell anyone about what really happened to him. And that's a big indication of the type of people these are and the type of people Maggie will be dealing with. Now, the other part of it is, why did the Dama show Negan that she was keeping Herschel's little toe? Well, I think it comes down to telling Negan, I have leverage over you. Basically using Herschel and Maggie as leverage for Negan. So if Negan doesn't follow orders and doesn't do what the Dama wants, the Dama might hurt Maggie and Herschel. That's exactly why Negan was so upset when he saw the box and what was in it. And I think the reason for that is because he knows it's not over. Although you might have thought that the Negan versus Maggie conflict is over in that little fight that they had, that appears to be far from the truth, because it appears that Negan and Maggie's stories and their fate is forever intertwined, because they could never get away from it. As much as they want to, now they're not going to be able to do that. And I think this also goes back to what Maggie told Herschel, that she's going to try to finish this thing with Negan. Now, we don't exactly know what she meant by that, whether she meant that she's going to go find him and kill him, or go find him, bring him back, and move on. Things are going to change significantly when Maggie finds out what happened to Herschel and the fact that he's missing the little toe. So I think the setup that they did in this episode for season 2 is in such a way where they're building up this big conflict between the Babylon and the Damas groups. So that's part of it. The other part of it is they're setting up Maggie finding out the truth about what happened to Herschel and what the Dama did. And then, as part of that, going back to seek vengeance, possibly, and even not just seek vengeance and want to kill the Dama, but also want to bring Negan back, because she understands that she made the wrong decision by bringing Negan to that group. So, in a way, Maggie might realize that she might be pushing Negan to become a monster again by what she did, and she may not want to do that. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through in this video. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.